What's going on, EoP sports fans? It's Wednesday night. It's 8:30. It's time for EoP. I'm Big Al.
I'm Joe Sheeran.
I'm Freddy Burns.
And we got a ton to talk about right now. The Sixers are at the half. The Celtics up 158-57. And we got plenty of Sixers talk to talk about here. We got the Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl rematch coming up Monday night. It's about time we have a Monday night game that's worthwhile to watch. Because I can tell you right now, I really have stopped even looking about who's playing on Monday nights. Because 9 times out of 10, especially this year, really haven't cared.
Hey, you know what? It might be great that it's an actual good game on Monday, but I'm sick of not having Sundays with the Eagles. I have to wait another day. I mean, come on. This
is true. I agree with you. And also some Phillies off-season topics to get into as well. But, Joe, let's just jump right into this. Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl rematch. I guess both of y'all asked this question. Has this gotten the right amount of hype, too much hype, or not enough hype for you going into it? I'm talking locally and nationally.
You start, Fred.
Well, I didn't even realize it, but I actually am drinking out of the Super Bowl cup, and I did not do this on purpose. So I just happened to have this cup. But hype-wise,
and that's a random fact with Freddy Burns.
Well, like you figure I would have planned that on purpose, but no. Anyhow, yeah, I mean, I think it's getting enough coverage. You got the 8-1 Eagles, top of the NFC, NFL, and then the 7-2 Chiefs are the number one seed of the AFC. I feel like it's getting enough coverage. It's only Wednesday. It is the Monday night game, so typically they promote the other games first, go to their, the Thursday night game, then the main 4:00 game Sunday night and a Monday night. So I think it'll ramp up more on Sunday. But as far as hype goes, I think it's pretty good for an NFL matchup.
I actually think the complete opposite. I think the only thing that is really getting talked about is Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift's dad. They're talking. I mean, we saw the pictures of Taylor Swift's dad wearing a Chiefs laminate over at their concert and wherever the hell it was, East Bumble F. I think that's getting more of coverage. Is Taylor a real Eagles fan? She better not show up wearing Chiefs gear or she'll be, whatever. I mean, I haven't heard anything about the Eagles Chiefs so far or a rematch of the Super Bowl. Granted, both teams were on a bye this week. So it could be, it's 2 weeks in the making. Fred, to your point, it might get a little bit more hyped up as we get closer to it. But I mean, I haven't heard a thing. I think this game should be, like, I was thinking this earlier. You know how, like, the 49ers fans and the team, they're just talking trash and in the off season, we're like, all right, that Niners game, that's the one that's circled, for the schedule. No, I think this is the one that needs to be scheduled circled on the schedule. This is the big rematch. We beat the Niners. That didn't matter. That was them being a bunch of butthurt babies. This is the game we need to be hyped for. And I haven't heard a thing about it. It's all about the social aspects of it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. I think more in this case because the last few things I've seen, like over the last day, I would say, is the Swifts and the Kelceys are getting together, like the parents are meeting or whatever.
Yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
But it's Wednesday, guys. It's Wednesday. When does Monday Night Football get hyped up on Wednesday or Tuesday or Monday before? Like,
I get what you're saying.
I agree with the Swift stuff. Yeah. You're right, but that's going to come with it. But what do you guys want? A breakdown on ESPN on Wednesday of the Eagles versus Chiefs on Monday night?
Well, no,
I tune in.
More or less.
Yeah, but they're not going to do that. It's not an Eagles station. Like, what?
Well, what about the Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, two top MVP candidates right now?
You think that isn't going to come by the end of the week?
I don't know. I'm not a Swiftie, maybe. I can call it what it is. I'm just tired of hearing about Taylor Swift and Kelsey's love affair and all this stuff. And I get it. Taylor Swift's some super mega star in the world of music, but I'm just tired of hearing about it, maybe. Maybe that's me.
I agree with you. Hold on, one thing on this.
Yeah.
I agree with you with the Swift stuff. It is annoying, but I do got a problem with it actually now. Because now that the dad has the Chief lanyard on and he's a diehard Eagles fan, I'm starting to get a problem. It's making me mad. I had my daughter cry a little bit today. I told her she's bad. If Taylor Swift shows up with the Chiefs stuff, she's bad. She was in tears. They're starting to mess with my daughter because my daughter's like, "Oh, is it okay to switch now? The dad switched." And I got to re-emphasize how much of a fraud Taylor Swift is, along with her dad. They show up with Chief stuff on at this game in the box. That looks bad on us, man. Die-hard Eagles fan your whole life.
Yeah.
6 months.
Well, here's the other thing. How much do we know how much they are die-hard fans? Like, he was a Eagles fan, but was he a die-hard Eagles fan? Is he a guy like Freddie in the background there? You got the Sixers and all the other sports stuff on your wall. Joe, I'm sure you got it all over your walls too. And I know if you could see mine, you'd see some stuff too. But is he a die-hard fan, or is he just a fan? And then whatever makes them money is cool for them at that point.
Per my daughter, he is a big fan.
Okay.
Taylor, is it per the book she's read? And then also Travis Kelce confirmed that on New Heights that he is a big football fan. Actually played college ball, was a linebacker converted into center. So he definitely's got football background with him.
Yeah. Phil Stifel from Training in the AM says, Eagles success equals no 1 p.m. games, and I'm sad. Yeah, if you think about it, it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, there hasn't been, and there isn't many left, really, is there? I'm just trying to, actually, I have the schedule here. There's only one as of right now, unless the last game gets flexed to 1 p.m. There's only one 1 p.m. game, and that is on Christmas Day.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. So that is it.
If I'm being totally honest, like, you know how I was saying, like, I feel like the Eagles Dallas game was underhyped and all that, and we kind of thought that maybe it would gain more traction towards the game, and in my opinion, it really didn't. And I don't see this going that way either. I don't know why. I mean, it's a rematch of the Super Bowl. It's Kelce versus Kelce again. I mean, I don't know what the hell we're missing. I mean, how about this? Andy Reid is like, what, 101-3 after the bye? I mean, both teams are coming
7-4 after the
I was
bye.
exaggerating,
I'm just telling
but
you,
I mean, but both teams are coming off the bye. Like, that's a story in itself. Nick Sirianni last year during the bye week reached out to Andy Reid and asked him what he did, what his regiment was back when he was with the Eagles, and what he would do during the bye week. I mean, so Nick is basically living what Andy Reid, it does year in and year out during the bye week. Like, that's a story in itself, and we just don't see any of it. And I understand it's not going to be all covered all the time on ESPN and these national shows, but a little talk of it here and there should be, warranted.
Quentin saying live streaming during a Sixers game is clearly a violation. Laugh out loud. You know what? I blame the Sixers on this one. They know we're Wednesdays at 8:30. This is on them. We've been around here.
We gave them last night. They had last night and they blew it. So
yeah, why is every time we have a show they have to play Sixers Celtics? What's going on with that?
Yeah, that's right.
I agree with you, John. I don't know. Let me ask you guys this question: is there anything to do with looking around the NFL, just how much of a drop off from good teams to bad teams are? You have good 4 or 5 teams, and then you have a few mediocre, but then it's a lot of the NFL drops off significantly. Do you think it has the news cycle so light they gotta sprinkle all this stuff in and make it interesting?
Maybe you guys are right, because I don't get my news from ES. I don't even watch TV, so I get it all off Twitter and reading stuff off that, different videos from other sources. So maybe that is why. NFL.com had a whole 15-minute breakdown on it, and there was different things there. So maybe you're right, because I don't know. And even WIP, not to start calling out other stations, but they were talking about trading. Their poll today was trading Devontae Smith for Patrick Surtain. It's what are you guys?
What?
Doing? Yeah, what? Should we have done that at the trade deadline? It's almost like the Eagles are good now, and they're legit good and successful. That we have to find negative stuff, but most of the people have risen above that. I think we have, except for the few callers that want to call and complain about nonsense, we're becoming better fans, and we're just hey, we're not going to bitch about it. But yeah, that's what they were talking. It was crazy. I couldn't even believe that was the poll. Yeah,
it's almost like not us fans and not fans of the Chiefs, but the national media, we're good. The Chiefs are good. We both have been good for a while. Maybe just the luster is gone. I mean, again, rematch of the Super Bowl, and nobody cares because it's against 2 teams that have been on top of the NFL for multiple years now.
And they've shut down good teams this year. They both have good records. They both shut down that great, amazing, supposed Miami offense. You know what I mean? Totally shut them down. So maybe that's what it is. But I don't know. I'm hype about it. I'm pretty excited. My daughter, who hates Patrick Mahomes, was pretty upset when the Super Bowl lost. It burned her. She's jacked up for it. She's like, "Can we go to the game?" I'm like, "It's in Kansas City. I'm sorry, we can't."
I'm kind of taken back by this poll question of would you trade Devontae Smith for Surtain? Why would they even be talking about that at week 10? I mean, they just ran out of things to talk about?
Maybe a little bye-week blues. I don't know.
No. The information was dropped. It was either late last week or early this week that the Eagles and Cowboys were heavily involved, or Eagles and 49ers were heavily in trade talks for Surtain, worried that the other one would get Surtain. So then I guess that triggered them to put that post out. But I forget what I replied. I'm like, my God, you guys must really be bored if you're putting this out. Yeah, Marks and Reese today, 17 hours left on the post. Yeah, 2:47 today. This offseason, would you trade Devontae Smith for Patrick Surtain? There was 11,000 votes. 90.2% said no, and mostly crushed the post. So, I think we're just growing as fans. And we're ready to play the Chiefs. We're done with the stupid drama nonsense. And, as far as national media goes, I think we just have to wait a few.
How did they come up with Devontae Smith? Are they just putting good players' names in the hat, picking one out, and say, all right, we'll run with this today?
I think I heard some of it today. I think the thought process is, all right, well, we have A.J. Brown, so you don't need two premier wide receivers, which I disagree with. And they were like, well, he's disposable in their eyes. And they didn't say those words, but I guess that's kind of what I got from that situation.
Terrible.
But the one thing is, Joe, you said earlier, people were circling the Niners game. I agree with, if anything, if I'm an Eagle fan and Eagle at all, I'm circling this game. This is listen, I don't 100% subscribe to, I lost this team in the Super Bowl. This is really what revenge would be. But yeah, this has got to show, in my eyes, for all last year we heard about it. All we heard is how we didn't play any good teams. The Eagles didn't play any good teams, and we've since May, when the schedule dropped, this murderer's row that we're up against. Started with Dallas into the bye week, and we won that game. Now we're going up against the Chiefs. Now looking at that schedule coming up, how much does this, just for getting that number one spot and making it into the playoffs, how much this winning today weigh on the Eagles in your opinions?
I'm going to start with this one because I'll tell you right now, my thought process on this murderer's row, the next 4-5 games, whatever it is, how I was a little bit, a little sketchy about going into the season. Yes, on paper, it looked bad. But now you look at these teams that we have coming up, and they're all beatable. I honestly think the Eagles are going to come out and play really, really well Monday night. I'm just saying it right now. Eagles are going to win that game. The Bills, what the hell happened to Josh Allen? They're going to win that game. The Niners, we've already beaten them. We can win that game. Dallas, we've already beaten them this season. We can win that game. Seattle is definitely winnable. They're going to go through these 4 or 5 games and come out, probably 4-1. I'll just say that. I don't have an issue with this stretch as much as I did earlier in the season because we've seen the Eagles play. They have the best record in the league. They are the best team in the league. And all these teams are beatable. They all have flaws, as the Eagles do as well. But good teams find ways to win. And all these teams right now, I don't know they can do that going up against our defense when we're out there putting our best foot forward.
And the best part about it is it doesn't even really matter if they do. They could lose the next 4, and they'd be 8-4 and play the Giants twice and the Cardinals.
Right,
it's fine. I mean, for the 1 seed, yes. For the home field advantage, yes, we want it. Don't get me wrong, but I agree with you, Joe. The gauntlet doesn't look as daunting as it once did. The injuries on the defensive end are definitely a concern.
Sure.
But we get Bradley. I mean, we basically don't have a nickel corner right now, a slot guy whatsoever. They're trying other people, but it's clearly not working. So hopefully Bradley Roby comes back and is successful. But then again, we were able to grab him in the middle of the season, so he must not have been too hot if he was available as well. So, that's probably the only concern. But, yeah, we're a darn good football team, and our offense is legit. Dallas Goedert, the injury, that's a question mark, which will cause concern. I guess when we get into the Chiefs, we can discuss that or the actual breakdown. But outside of that, it's very this team can put up points, and it's a new time where defense wins championships. Now it's pass rush and an offense wins championships.
Yeah, luckily with Dallas Goedert and his injury, whether it's 4, 5, or 6 weeks that he's out, luckily 2 of those weeks were the bye. So, I mean, we definitely got lucky with that. And when it comes to Bradley Roby, like, to your point, yeah, we absolutely got him in the season. He was a late addition. But I honestly do think some of these guys who have made the money, I think they kind of like take like a step back and they're not in such a rush just to join any team. Like, I think they wait and for the right opportunity. I think when the Eagles come knocking, that's the right opportunity. We saw that last season with Sue and Linval Joseph. And funny enough, I was thinking this last night. I don't know if Linval Joseph or Sue are on other teams, but if they're not, I'm curious. Linval is okay. Well, all right, then just for Sue, like, is it possible that Haley's like, all right, we're not going to bring you back, but stay available in case we need you later in the season, and you'll be our first call? Like, I wonder if he has these like little side agreements with these guys.
Linval's on the Bills. I know that much.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's on the Bills.
Well, then we're going to smoke his ass in 2 weeks anyway.
Yeah. But no, I know what you're saying is, and I agree with you. Like, again, talking about the game itself, green colored glasses off. It's going to be a game. It's going to be a hell of a good game. And this is a game I believe, I feel like it's kind of a little cliche to say, but it is a game that's going to win the trenches. You got 2 good, really good offensive lines, top 5 and both in the top 5 on the offensive line and probably both in the top 5 in the defensive line. And that's where the difference is. And if you're able to get to Patrick Mahomes, I mean, it is in Arrowhead, which, gives them a little bit of the advantage. But I think, again, everybody just keeps doubting the Eagles, and it's been since 2022 into 2023. People are starting to go, okay, maybe they're legit. They beat the Cowboys. But in my eyes, that's not the measuring stick. The measuring stick starts with this week. The Bills were a bit of the measuring stick, but I don't believe they are anymore unless they turn it around. If I'm McDermott, I'm sitting there, I'm running the ball like crazy and taking the ball out of Josh Allen's hands a little bit because the turnovers are disgusting. But right now, there's no fear for me in that situation. But this is a game that you're going to be testing the might of the O-line and the D-line for sure. Probably the biggest test to date at the same time.
What's the word on Cam Jurgens?
I'm hearing he's playing. They have him.
Yeah, should be.
Yeah, I'll check the injury report while you guys are.
Then you got your offensive line full strength, but give it to the DeAndre Swift. Let him run all over this Chiefs team.
Well, that's where the Chiefs fall off. Is in they have good pass protection, but good pass defense, but not great run defense. They're actually towards the bottom. So this is where the O-line and DeAndre Swift and maybe getting a little mixture. Maybe you finally, I doubt it, but maybe you start to see Rashad Penny in the system. I don't know. They'll keep probably going that Gainwell but I think this is where you're going to win it. Like it doesn't need to be fancy, but also the other thing is the one thing I would like to see is how is Jalen's knee? Can he run? That's been a big difference, I think, this year. That's kept him a little less, not one-dimensional, but not as many dimensions as Jalen Hurts usually brings to the game with his wheels. I mean, not that he hasn't had wheels, he's been some amazing balls, on the run, but it's more scrambles, no design plays, and which I'm okay with to a point, but the defense has to. They got to respect that it's going to happen. Right now, I don't think anybody respects the fact that he's going to run the ball outside of a necessity.
I think this is a very, very evenly matched matchup and a pretty cool matchup as like weaknesses and strengths kind of are going against each other here. Like last year, the Chiefs their offense was like the powerhouse. This year, they actually have like a really legit defense. They give up like 16 points per game. I think they're 3rd or 4th in the league in sacks. They don't blitz a lot, but they let their front 4, very similar to us last year, and kind of to the point this year, get to the pass rusher and get to the quarterback. What's the guy's name? Well, there's obviously Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, then Chris Jones. Yeah. Karlaftis has like 7.5 sacks. Chris Jones has 5.5. So they're going to get to the quarterback. It'll be interesting to see now with our healthy O-line how we do. We average 2 sacks per game. Jalen's mobility helps and hurts that at times. Sometimes he'll walk into a sack where maybe he could have got rid of the ball.
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued to watch all the matchups. The secondary of the Chiefs is unbelievable. They've gone up against multiple good teams. Yeah, Jarius Sneed. But our wide receivers are freaking amazing. You know what I mean? That's a very cool matchup to watch. Their tight end, Travis Kelce, is freaking amazing. Probably the best tight end of our lifetime that we're watching. That's a weakness of ours in the slot. You know what I mean? Are we going to be able to stop that? I mean, I think we give up. It's 130 quarterback rating throwing to the tight end and 5 touchdowns to the tight end position. Will that happen? Our pass rush is outstanding. The Chiefs' offensive line has only given up 12 sacks this year. So, that's a matchup. So all the matchups set up for a very cool Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, and one of the honestly, just looking at the Monday night schedule so far, one of the better ones. Not just being an Eagles fan, just being a fan of football. One of the better matchups. And like I said, the Eagles will be in Kansas City, and so are our boys over at Philly Sports Trips. They'll be there. So if you want to get a tailgate, if you're going to be out there, it's still a chance for the tailgate. The trip's all booked up, but don't forget they also have the Cowboys trip. If you want to go out to Dallas and watch them stomp the Cowboys one more time this year, check out phillysportstrips.com. All the home games as well have great tailgates at Live Casino lined up for you. Plenty other ones. The Flyers what do they call it? The Stadium Series now is the term they use for it now. That's going to be a trip there. You can go check it out. They got union trips. You name it, they got it. phillysportstrips.com. Check it out. phillysportstrips.com. So, again, you brought it up. You brought up one of you guys said earlier, Dallas Goedert. Is that going to be a huge factor for the Eagles going into this one? Is it going to be an area they can fill? I mean, I know Calcaterra is still, I think, questionable at this point. I know he's coming off a head injury. And we talked about this. I think, Joe, last week we talked about this. Will you see Julio Jones kind of more not playing at the tight end position, but kind of playing in that position because of the size and his ability to go contest for balls?
Well, can Julio Jones block? I mean, I truly don't know.
Yes, he can.
Okay.
He's actually very good blocker
can.
as a wide receiver. I don't know about as a tight end, but as a wide receiver, he's a very good blocker.
I'm fine with that. Like, even Nick Sirianni said, even with Dallas Goedert out, it doesn't necessarily mean that they need one of their tight ends to step up and kind of fill that role, that there are going to be other players on the team who can fill that role who may not be a tight end. And whether you wanted to, I don't know, if you just want to read between the lines and say that could be a Julio Jones or really that's the only person that comes to mind who has the size to do it. I think he can do it. I mean, I don't know if he's ever been in that type of role or that situation before. It could be all foreign to him. He may not know exactly what to do, but then again, it's a good thing they had 2 weeks to possibly get him into a situation where he might be thrown into like that.
You also got Jack Stahl, who's been a very adequate guy that they like, and then the guy they traded for in training camp. Albert O, he's 6'5", 260 pounds, athletic freak. Maybe it's his coming out party. But to your point, Joe, what Sirianni said, we haven't really been using Goddard anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? He's been good. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like he's been a focal point of the offense. So I don't think it's that big of a factor. And I'm going to go on another note. It may even help. The pass rush, if that pass rush does get going, having Jack Stahl kind of just sit in maybe on a few plays, chip block, and hang in, because Goddard is an okay blocker, but he's not a great one, Run game as well.
Yeah. Joe's learning the comments, it looks like, on his phone.
I had no idea that I was able to press a button and put the comments up there.
I'm watching Joe's face amazed, a little kid.
I was thinking in my head. I'm like, dude, We already have that. Like, we've already discussed it. Why is this back up again?
Yeah.
But
He's
it's,
about to yell. You gotta get Fred yelling at me now.
welcome to StreamYard, Joe.
Yeah, yeah. How about on the other side? You're talking about Travis Kelce, the defending of Travis Kelce. You know, Bradley Roby is an option. Like Joe said, well, God knows if he could handle a guy like him. Do they do any other? You make anything around? Do you maybe switch up Bradbury in that situation? Guy who maybe size wise can match up with him better. Like, what do you do? What do you think the game plan will be going against him?
They already tried Bradbury in slot multiple. He's
Yeah.
not good in the slot. He tried it, but you know, I kind of think it's going to be like Kelce get his type of thing. You know what I mean? The KC wide receivers are not that good. Like they kind of stink actually. So, you know, I think our secondary, who, you know, even on the outside hasn't been spectacular. This is a game where they could probably get themselves right. The guy that's escaped me, Rashid Rice. He's got a lot of speed to him. He looks like a guy they like to involve in the offense. You know, Andy's going to scheme some stuff up, but it might be like, hey, let Kelce get his, just contain him, let him get 5, 6, 7, 8 yards, and kind of just let our offense do its thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, can you play Sidney Brown like up in the box? Can you have one of our linebackers drop back? I mean, I don't know, how is Zach Cunningham in coverage like that? I mean, you got to think that they're trying to scheme something up because, Fred, to your point, Travis Kelce is the focal point of their offense, and it's not going to switch this week. So if you can contain him, double up on him, I mean, who else are they going to really throw it to? I mean, I get Patrick Mahomes. You have to try and just do whatever the hell you can do to stop him just a bit. I mean, some of his throws are just unbelievable. So he's going to get his as well. If you can contain Travis Kelce, I mean, this is a very winnable game.
Listen, you take Travis Kelce out of the game plan for them. That's a huge, huge advantage for the Eagles. I mean, he is their weapon. I mean, Rice has been a nice young addition. He's got the speed. They're trying to replace the cheetah by grabbing him, and he's been good, but nothing great. I just think I don't know why I feel very confident going this, and maybe having a team that's 8-1. But like Fred, you said earlier, this team really just matches up well, and I'm excited for a really good overall game. Like, I'm not expecting a blowout on either side, but I mean, both Kansas City and the Eagles, if they can keep the other team from scoring 20 points, they win. That's how they win. That's how it works. So it's all about who can get all those points up and fast. And I think the Eagles have the upper hand in that situation. I think we definitely have the better wide receiver core, and I think we definitely have the better run core or the better running backs. But again, if you go back to that Super Bowl, that's where we kind of got hurt. Pacharo kind of chewed us up a little bit. I mean, there was, don't get me wrong, the passing game was in there, but ultimately that's how they started to control the clock in the second half, and ultimately started to chew down to kind of pick us apart, even though we were up by 10.
Yeah, I mean, a different team, different scheme, different everything. I think our run D's a little better this year, especially with Jalen Carter in there. But Pacheco is definitely a violent runner that they're going to use, and they're going to use all three backs, But to the Mahomes point, if there's a year to face Mahomes, it's this year. He's down in all categories, but is still a very good quarterback, even down. So I'm not trying to say he's bad by any means, but if you look at his career averages and his season averages, they're all below this year. He has 8 interceptions, and we're halfway through the season. The Chiefs' offense as a whole has 17 turnovers. That's going to be a big key to this. So to your point, we score 28 points per game. That's like 3rd or 4th in the league. The Chiefs only give up 15 per game. So where I think the matchup lends to us is like, we have gone up against good secondaries, the Jets secondary, the Cowboys secondary, and A.J. Brown has beat the brakes off of every one of them. So I think, the matchup people will say is him versus L'Jarius Sneed, but I don't think it's a matchup. I think we're going to get ours with the receiving core we have and be able to put up more points, like you said, Al.
Yeah, I think when you look at, what their defense is and what they give up per game, like my biggest thing is like, do I really expect or see the Eagles to go into this game and not score more than 16 points? Absolutely not. I think that they can score that in a quarter. I mean, so if the only thing that's holding us back is scoring more than 16 points, then this is an Eagles W, boys. I mean, I know it's going to be tougher than that. I mean, I'm being a little facetious on it, but the Eagles, to their average of 28 or whatever it is, like they're not going to be denied that. Like they're going to put that up. They have one of the best offenses in the game. They have one of the best duos from quarterback and wide receiver in the game. I mean, we talk about like, all right, CeeDee Lamb getting his or Travis Kelce getting his. Well, guess what? A.J. Brown is going to get his too. These other teams go into these games knowing that as well. But the problem is even if you can contain A.J. Brown, you then have Devontae Smith. You have the better backfield in the Eagles. Like the Eagles are going to put up points. Like this 16-point crap, it has nothing to do with this upcoming Monday night game.
But I will give the Chiefs credit. Like you would have thought that with Tyreek Hill, they held Tyreek Hill to 60 yards, and that's
what do we hold him to?
He had a touchdown. I think he got his against us.
Touchdowns are a dime a dozen.
100 plus. I think he definitely had.
Joe scores NFL touchdowns in his sleep.
But we contained him for a bit. But yeah, he got his. But I just I'm with you though. I think we're gonna beat the team. I'm not scared. I don't go into this game with fear at all. If anything, the only thing I might fear is Andy Reid cooking up something that we haven't seen yet, or Spagnuolo coming up with something that just totally confuses Hurts. But back to the initial, I don't know which one of you guys made the point. I think you both. But Swift, the running game is big. If there's a weakness, the Chiefs give up 4.6 yards per carry. Swift averages 4.5 yards per carry. Expose that. Use that to our advantage. You know what I mean? And run with it. But I'm with you. Maybe this is a problem that all three of us are uber confident.
It might be.
Maybe that's what I don't like. I don't know. You're probably right. But I'm kind of. I always subscribe to the thought process. Well, then prove me wrong, or then do it, because only one team by chance. Because, and again, not to sound cliche, an 8-1 team. That one loss came against a Jets team that we should have beat. And we had 4 turnovers in that game, and that game came down to the wire. I mean, you show me any game that a team has 4 turnovers in and they have a close game like that, they're few and far in between. So, I mean, this team has been good, and the competition, I wouldn't say each week's been better and better, but for the most part, like, the Pats team are not a great team. The Jets team has had their injuries, and Zach Wilson's not a good quarterback. All right, but now you're playing. You play the Cowboys, and that was the game we expected to have. Would we have loved to see them just put their foot on the throat of the Cowboys and destroy them? Absolutely. But I hate saying it out loud, but we have to say it. They are a good team, the Cowboys. They have flaws like everybody else does, though, but they are a very good team. So
yeah, I think.
Go ahead.
I think my biggest thing going into this game is like I originally had a thought about it the way I did with the Dolphins game in prime time that Sunday night. I mean, we went into that game. I mean, it one of the rare times I said that the Dolphins were going to, or I'm sorry, that the Eagles were going to lose, that another team was going to beat the Eagles, and truly believe it. And I really did think the Eagles were going to win that game because I'm just to all the points that I said that night about basically their offense being just a bunch of track stars. And I think the Eagles will be able to, catch up or keep up with them. And they did. They went out and they played a very sound game, especially on defense. The score does not reflect how the game actually went. They actually knelt the ball down. They could have gotten another touchdown at the end of the game, but they didn't. They didn't run up the score. And it was a very, very well-balanced offensive-defensive game from the Eagles, and they stepped up. They rose to the challenge of playing a really good team. And I think that I'm going into, especially this game with the Chiefs, of like, just don't overthink it. Like, all right, we're talking about, like, the Dolphins having a track star team with Tyreek Hill. Well, guess what? I mean, we've already played the Chiefs, and they don't have Tyreek Hill. So, I mean, I'm trying not to overthink it. I'm taking how I felt about that Dolphins game and I'm applying it to this. And I'm basically, after what you said, I'm going into it saying, just prove me wrong. if they're the better team that night, then just prove me wrong, and we'll just see where the cards fall.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to go with that into any game at this point, especially if these upcoming games with the competition definitely does get a little stiffer. But ultimately, I mean, of the next 5 games, I'd say Kansas City is probably the hardest game that we have. I mean, Dallas is a good team and they're a divisional team, so there's that factor into it. But I think of the competition, I think Kansas City is the top of the 5. So if we can get a win here, go 9-1 in the week 11, that's
huge.
That's huge for us. But looking at the 5-game stretch, in my eyes, the 2 most important games to win are the Niners and the Cowboys. Just from the standings point, if you can win those 2 but lose the other 3, that's actually puts you in a better position than winning 3 with losing to them in some ways. But I mean, ultimately, this is just going to be a really good game. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to enjoy it because that's what we will. I think a lot of people had this as here, when you're doing you're going through your schedule, here's one of the first or second loss of the season for the Eagles going to Kansas City. I think a lot of I probably even myself, if I remember correctly, had them losing this game. But right now, I'm going to keep going with the subscription of beat them. Show me you can do it. Because on paper it's a good matchup, but I still think the Eagles have the edge a little bit. If this was in Philly, I think the edge would be even a little higher.
And I think our turnovers have improved. I think it's going to come down to protection. You know what I mean? They got a pass rush. We got a pass rush. I really think, the turnovers have improved. Hurts only has 1 interception in the last 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time we were like, what's going on here? He's fumbling and throwing picks here, whether it's his fault or not. So that seems to have been cleaned up. Protection, run the football. Don't get too pass happy whenever we get in these modes where we throw for like 35.5 and run 1 or 2, we get in a bad position. I feel like keep a 60-40, 65-35. It's a passing league. I get it. But AJ Brown, he's just a monster. And then if they, like you said, Joe, if they shut him down, you got Devontae Smith and he'll have a monster game. I can't see a loss. What's the spread?
No.
The last time I saw it was like +2 for the Eagles, right? I think that's what I saw last time.
Basically,
now I don't know if that shifted. That was earlier on in the week, but I think it was like +2 for the Eagles. So I mean, we'll find out. But speaking of getting yourself in a bad position, sometimes in life you get yourself in a bad position, and you go to David R. Cherry to get yourself out of those bad positions: workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law. David Cherry has the plan for you. CherryInjuryLaw.com. Call him at 610-565-0300. Again, go to the website, CherryInjuryLaw.com, or just pick up the phone, 610-565-0300, CherryInjuryLaw.com. So let's shift gears a little bit, guys.
One moment. I just want to bring this up because I posted it before the show, and it does tie into what this week is with the Eagles Chiefs. I haven't heard the song yet, but I saw a post, and Travis Kelce is on the Eagles Christmas album that came out today or is coming out or whatever. Does anybody else feel like that's a little bit of a violation? Like, why are they having other players from other teams being featured on a team Christmas album?
I am with you, Joe. I don't like it. I know it's your brother. I know you got a cool podcast. I know Travis Kelce's probably a borderline Eagles fan when he comes to games. He loves it here. I love Travis Kelce. I just thought it was an Eagles thing, man. I thought this was an Eagles thing. And, I guess when you have, like, music groups or rappers or, they'll have a song and they'll have feature another artist that's in another label. So maybe that's how they're kind of looking at it. But it just doesn't feel right to me. You know what, though? It's because if they would have beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, I probably wouldn't care, actually. The fact that we lost is what's bothering me. I just processed that for myself. So
I think I'm more to the point, just like where I'm over it. Like, I understand that they're brothers. I respect Travis and I respect his game. I know he's really good. He's going to go down as one of the best tight ends. But like, outside of all that, I mean, I'm kind of over the whole, Travis Kelce and Jason stuff. Like they have a cool podcast. I don't listen to it every week like I used to. Maybe it is because of the Taylor Swift stuff, because everywhere you look is Travis this, Travis that, stuff like that.
1,000 commercials he's in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With the I'm not gonna get into that, but like okay, like I know that like it's either Anita Baker or Patti LaBelle. I mean, one of them's also on the album, but like but they're singers, and I get that, and they're from the area. But like if he's the only other one on the album, like if other players aren't on it, like I don't understand like why this guy is getting a feature song on an Eagles Christmas album.
And speaking of, because Jason tweeted out a couple hours ago, he picked screenshot of his Apple phone showing that the Fairy Tale Philadelphia song was number 8 on the top 10 chart for Apple Music. Is that the song?
That's the song. That's the song. That's the song with Travis Kelce. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean,
I don't think I'm going to listen to it. I'm like that bitter about it, I think.
Or at least
I'm with you.
At least until next week. But
maybe,
I mean,
I don't know.
Maybe I don't feel as strongly about it as you got. I mean, in the sense that I'm just so used to seeing those guys together anymore, even during the season now. Like, I'll be honest with you, in the beginning, I'm like, oh, these guys are doing a podcast together during the season together, like, and then of course it rolled into the postseason, and then they ended up meeting each other in the postseason. And you saw Jason Kelce at the bar after they beat the Niners with Mama and Papa, and he was wearing a Chiefs shirt.
Yeah.
And then he took it off. He goes, that's the last time you're going to see me wearing this for a long time. So like, I'm kind of used to them doing things together in the weirdest at the weirdest times as a fan.
But they don't have to do everything together. And this was something last year that was put together by the Eagles players. And, I don't think that they need to bring Travis Kelce in on something like this. It should be only Eagles or only Philadelphia musicians, or just something to keep it ours. Like, you don't have to bring other people in.
Do you think
there's no rule saying that Travis Kelce doesn't have to be a part of something that his brother does?
Do you think they were trying to get Taylor Swift on the album?
Probably not.
Like,
she ain't getting on that shit.
She covers one song, that thing goes platinum twice.
Shout out to Q102, who is banning Taylor Swift music from the station until after this week. If she shows up with Chiefs on, they're not really going to do it, but they'll ban it for good.
Good.
It's good to see that. So let's jump into Sixers right now. It's the fourth quarter, about a little bit more than 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Sixers are down 87-82. I mean, we got to talk about this. I mean, definitely not the Sixers we thought we would see going early on the season. Lost their second game of the season after 8 straight wins the other night. Last night to the Pacers. After the last time they played the Pacers, you saw Tyrese Maxey go off and put his first 50-burger up on the board. We've talked about it before. I think we've all are not surprised that Tyrese Maxey is playing at the rate he's playing, but
he's the next Michael Jordan.
Yes. We'll kind of calm that down, but all right.
Oh no, it's already it's done.
Oh, it's written in the stars.
It's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then never mind. I'm wrong. But I mean, were we right the whole time? Like, between the BS from Ben Simmons and then the headaches from James Harden, like him always being the third or fourth wheel, is it finally just getting his time to shine, or has he just progressed that much, giving the chance to do it?
I think he's progressed that much. He's had to work on this. He's had his flaws, and he's got better and better each year, and he is excelling at a pace. It's almost Jalen Hurts-esque, how quickly he is getting to that next level. But, he worked out with Embiid's guy, Drew Hanlon, in the offseason, who really helped Embiid, because Embiid didn't have a shot. Embiid didn't have a lot of the skills he has in the post and off the dribble, even until he worked with him. But we always knew that Tyrese Maxey was going to put the work in. He had the skill set, and he had all that. What I really love is just how Nick Nurse is pushing him now and unlocking him. And even last night started coming at him like, hey, I'm paraphrasing, but he didn't call him soft. but he said you're being soft in the sense like they're getting physical with you and you're backing down. You're being unaggressive. Called him out on the bench and forced him to get even more aggressive. And even though they lost, he still continued to be aggressive. And I firmly believe now. I've always loved him since draft night. I took him slow though. A lot of people like that 10-game stretch thought he should be the starter right away. I thought maybe he should have been a 6-man to like slowly work in. I was kind of wrong there, but I was definitely wrong. He was ready to be a starter, but I just think he is going to be the best guard in Sixers history when it's all said and done. And I'm not like saying that to be insane. Like I just think he is very similar to Allen Iverson in the sense that he has speed off the dribble. His dribble game is nowhere near Allen Iverson's, but it is improving. You saw even a crossover last night. He stepped back 3 hit. But there's a difference. Allen Iverson had more talent, pure talent. Tyrese Maxey is going to put the work in every single year. He can also defend better than Iverson already. He's a better shooter. He's a better passer. So I think as time goes on, that is what you're going to see. And we have a superstar in this town. He's right here now. He will be an all-star this year. He'll be in the conversation for all-pro. And it really just kind of ends the whole let's trade Embiid thing. Because now, even as Embiid gets older, it's still going to be good to have a center of his caliber defensively. And then Maxey will eventually be the guy. And then you can add someone from there. So I'm so excited about Tyrese Maxey. And I feel like, I can take a breath. We got another 10 years now. And our window, the championship window, is now wide open.
The whole Zach LaVine thing comes back up again. After James Harden was traded, we saw a lot of guys, coming off contracts, return of like guys like Covington, and some picks coming down. Joe, I'm going to ask you, do you move and go get a guy like Zach LaVine if you can at this point in time, or do you run it out and get a chance of not being able to get him on the offseason?
I think for the right compensation, I think it's hard to say that he wouldn't be a welcomed addition. I don't think he's a needed addition at this moment. And funny, in the past couple of days, the more conversations have been coming up saying the Bulls are, the Bulls and LaVine are both interested in a change and getting a trade done. And teams are calling. I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, everybody's going to at least the Sixers, or even whether they need to or want to or not, they're still going to call and see exactly what the going price is, I guess you can say. But even they have come, and again, this is me like reading stuff on Twitter from guys who actually do have real sources and stuff like that, and they're saying even the Sixers are kind of saying like, this is the team we're going with, for the time being going forward. Like, we're not in a position where we need to add quote unquote all-star talent to this team. This team is playing very well, on its own, and they're really like the chemistry's there. Maxey, like, he just feels like he's unlocked and he can just go on the court and play his own kind of basketball. But of course, be mindful of being the point guard and spreading the ball. And yes, he's a better passer. His shooting has improved. His slashing, his getting to the rim. Like, he's making some layups that I just can't even believe he's getting through the defender. So, I mean, just everything is clicking right now with this team. And I'm actually like applauding the Sixers for them to say, you know what? Maybe it's the time that we stand pat. We don't need to go out and make a rash decision and judgment and have to go out there and overspend for a LaVine. I mean, they know what they're doing. I mean, we can sit here till we're blue in the face and say, "Oh, we want this guy, we want that guy, we want that." But like, if you're watching the same team that I am, I mean, you can tell that you can save these assets for further down the road, because this team right now is probably one of the best fits for the Sixers that we have seen in actual years. We have no headaches on this team. We have a fun team to watch, and they're all progressing and developing all together. Everybody knows their role. And, it even comes down to the coach. He's finally getting in the ear of all these players, and they're respecting it. You can tell they're respecting it. You can tell that their play and their game has changed to the way Nick Nurse has been wanting to play. I mean, again, kudos to the Sixers. We're not saying we have to go out and get a Zach LaVine or a insert name here to try and try and guarantee that we get through the second round. This team right now can get through the second round, in my opinion.
I agree, Joe. And I just think I've been banging the table to just, can you please keep the same team together? Keep the same team together.
Yeah.
Stop trading everyone every year. You don't win that way. You just don't. The team that does that does not win the championship. It never happens. It might happen 2-3 years down the road, but it just doesn't happen. And like, you're going to watch the Suns and everyone's all excited about the big three and the Suns, and they're not going to win it. They're not going to win it all. It's not going to happen. But I just love that. I agree. Like, I was so relieved to see those tweets, like, from people covering that. The Sixers actually are going to stand pat. They'll wait till the trade deadline, see where we're at that point. Let's see this through. Let's see this depth through. You know, the trade from the Harden trade was a lot of depth that they brought in. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Batum has been such a bright spot, an amazing thing to see. He can knock down the three. He's like Bellinelli when back when we had him, Ersan, and Redick. I love that team. I still think it was the best team we've had until now. A guy that can shoot the three. He fits perfect. Kelly Oubre, I hope he gets back healthy soon. He's a huge piece to this because you've seen a drop off the last 2 nights with those two out. We need to get those back. They're important pieces. But I agree, man. I'm not trading this core for Zach LaVine. And you got to trade Tobias Harris to make the contracts work. You have to trade. Tobias Harris is playing on a level we haven't seen since the Clippers. And to trade that now, you have to be patient. I just feel like you have to. I agree.
Well, speaking of the trades and all that, well, James Harden is not doing too well right now, Alex. I think they're 0-6 with James Harden on the court right now. And he was, he was quoted last night after his game that, we have to remember he didn't have an off season or preseason. He didn't have time to gel with his team yet.
Whose fault is that?
It's not his fault, guys. It's not his fault. But here's this exact quote. You ready? I keep reiterating that I didn't have a training camp or a preseason, so I'm kind of learning on the fly with a new team. Also getting myself into James Harden shape and game shape is very important. He referred to himself in the third person about being in shape.
Well, if you're this big elite superstar who, you're surprised, more teams weren't trying to come after you, you're making all this money, wouldn't you think and be the professional who is in the gym and staying in James Harden's shape and be ready to get on the court for whenever said team comes and makes a trade for you? Where's the professionalism? Where is really you're respecting yourself as an athlete? Shouldn't he be taking that needed step to make sure he is game ready for game one of whatever team he is on? Like this BS of, and he even came out and said, like, oh, once we figure this out, we're going to be a scary team. No, you're not. No, you're not. This is exactly what happens with every team that you're on. You were lucky enough to get onto the Sixers, who had a great core around you to get you as far as you did in the playoffs last year. And then you want to come out, bitch and moan, Daryl Morey this, oh, boo-hoo, he lied to me. And you're going to say, oh, well, I'm not in shape? What an excuse. What an a-hole.
I can understand you saying, okay, I'm gelling with my team. I'll swallow that pill for a few games. But when you say you're not in shape, then what were you doing? You wanted to be traded, so what were you just like, I'm going to sit around and eat Hot Pockets until a team picks me up? Like, that again, it's an arrogance, which I am so glad we no longer have to deal with. And, I think, like, listen, there's so many topics or subheadings we could discuss about the Sixers team, but right now it's 99-98. The Celtics are up with a little bit more than 5.5 minutes left in the game. But I mean, like, some of the subheadings is, I guess because Embiid won the MVP last year, looking at his score, his scoring ability right now is just so secondhand to anybody, but nobody's taking notice to it. But in the last 6 games, he's scored 39 points, 48 points, 27 points, 33 points. I mean, he's playing well. He's the 5th player in NBA history to average 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in his first 8 games. He continues to turn ahead, but then you have guys like, I know he's not playing right now, but because he has his rib issues, but Kelly Oubre, who's stepped up big time. D'Anthony Melton. I mean, there's another guy, D'Anthony Melton.
Huge game last night.
Yeah, Jaden Springer. Like when he's getting his playing time, it's making a difference. And like you said, Joe, there's no egos, and they're all buying into the system. Who would have thought that would have worked? And it's funny that James Harden refers to himself now as the system.
Yeah, that Mavericks broadcaster who lit him up, it was awesome. That was such a great speech. And James Harden came back with a rebuttal, but it fell flat. Nobody cares about your rebuttal, James. Okay, get in the gym, get your ass better for the court. And the dude from the Mavericks lit him up, and it was awesome.
Well, did you see his response?
Mm-hmm.
No, did you see? I'm sorry. Did you see the Bally Sports took it down? They took that, even though it was all over the internet by then. It was too late. They tried taking it down.
What, the broadcaster saying it?
The original post that had that on there.
Come on, that was everywhere.
Yeah, I know.
And the best part about that, best part about that is like he, even though he was saying what he's saying before, he goes, "I hope this is going to live stream in the locker room right to you, James Harden, so you hear this." I was like, "Damn, this dude's really throwing it at him."
But yeah, I mean, it was hilarious that saying all everything he said. I thought it was the Clippers guy initially, but I'm over Harden. I care less about him. Like that's gonna fall flat. But I agree with you. He was in shape too. Nick Nurse said, he was in unbelievable shape and he was a professional the time he did practice. So it's all just excuse making, which we're all sick of hearing from him. But your point on Embiid out is so tremendous because Embiid's doing everything. His assists are up per game. He's so great protecting the rim. He's put a focus on being a defender again, crashing the boards, getting rebounds. All things that Nick Nurse, in the broadcast today before the game, that Doris Burke asked Nick Nurse, what's your thoughts on coaching Embiid? And Nick Nurse was like, wow, he's way better than I thought he was. And I asked him to do all these different things, and he's doing them all at a high level. And it's just a compliment to him and playing the game the right way. MVP of the league, no problem. I don't need 35 points a game, even though he's getting it anyway. I'll do whatever it takes for the team, and it's just a beautiful thing to see. But I am going to take some credit, Al, because Nick Nurse is the coach I wanted, and Nick Nurse is the guy that I said would unlock Tyrese Maxey. I did not think Tyrese Maxey would be dropping 50 though this quickly.
Badass.
Yeah. I'll give you that. He wasn't my number one, but he has done.
I can't hear you, Al.
You guys can't hear me? How about now?
Now.
You're good now.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, but I mean, you said it too, Freddie. Like the offensive rebounding, not just from a big difference from Joel, but just all together. Like for how many years, every time a guy sees just put up a three and everybody starts just falling backwards. Nobody goes for offensive rebounds. And I think one of the big ones has been Paul Reed. I mean, I'm watching him just, he was getting a little bit more playing time because Joel was questionable to start today. But, there's a guy who he's fighting for the ball. He's put up, Nick Nurse he's wringing the rag out. Like he's getting every last bit of juice out of every guy. And, I thought they were nuts for what they played Paul Reed to stay here when the Jazz was trying to pick him up. But so I mean, again, 10 games so far, so good.
Let me give you some fun. You guys are gonna love this. Some fun Joel Embiid assists of who he's ahead of on assists per game in the league right now.
Okay.
He's ahead of LeBron James, the starting point guard for the Boston Celtics, Jrue Holiday. He is tied with Russell Westbrook of the Clippers. Assists per game here. And then he's 5.7 assists per game. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is 5.9. He's top 20 in assists right now in the NBA.
Wow.
The center of the Sixers.
That is awesome.
So it's just beautiful thing to see. I'm going to check out where he's at on rebounds too. He's got to be top 10 there too. Top 6, 11.7 rebounds per game. It's
beautiful. If I'm being honest, like just their ball movement has been so much better. They're going for the extra pass, making sure that the shot is open, and it's just a really different type of game that we're watching this season.
It's basketball, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like not NBA basketball. Like we've been so accustomed to this NBA style basketball where it's the stars, where they're actually passing the ball around. People are cutting to the lane, getting rebounds. Just catching the ball in the lane and just laying it up, not looking out to the corner for three all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do it. Fast break. You got three guys on a fast break go into the rim, not two guys going to the corner with one guy one-on-one trying to make a layup or dish it out. I'm with you, Joe. I love it. I love the way the game is played. And I just love Nick Nurse's style, man.
I got a basketball question that's unrelated to the Sixers, and it was because of the fight that we saw last night involving Klay Thompson and Gobert and when the hell did Chris Paul become a Warrior?
This off season he got.
How do I can't believe I missed something like that. Like I was watching like the video and you see him like kind of like trying to cool down Klay, and I'm like, wait a minute, Chris Paul, what is he doing at Golden State?
Well, he was in the whatever trade, the Bradley Beal trade, and then he got flipped to the
okay.
There. So I forget if he got bought out from the Wizards or got traded. I think.
Was that for Jordan Poole?
Yes, there you go. Then he got flipped for Jordan Poole. So first he got traded to the Wizard, then flipped for Jordan Poole. Exactly.
Yeah, I totally went right over my head. I was so confused when I saw him in that Warriors jersey. But sorry, back to our original content.
Well, here's my thing is that makes another big point is the we all, I mean, I know I did. I can't speak for everybody, but I think a lot of people felt that Sixers basketball was going to be just not good this year. Knowing that you're going to have James Harden, knowing that, there was going to be this possible drama in the background, knowing the moves that Boston made, the moves that Milwaukee made. I mean, I think Dame Lillard and the Brewers, or the Brewers, the Bucks are just destroying Toronto right now.
Lillard's stats are terrible this year.
Yeah, terrible. I think this is like his first, that's why they keep flashing to it. So I'm guessing that this is his big breakout game this season so far.
He had a pretty big game one against the Sixers.
Yeah, that was the only other game he was good. You're right, Joe.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I think I'm just excited to the fact that these Sixers are going to make it fun again. Like basketball's fun again in Philly. I mean, I felt like that. I felt like it wasn't. I felt like, all right, they had good teams. They were winning 50-plus games. But then, we got to the playoffs, and it's just like we were always waiting for that same letdown moment or, was somebody not going to show up or anything. And, I'm excited. I'm hopefully if this mentality runs through. I agree with you, Joe. If they play like this and they can continue to go, they're not going to get knocked out in the second round as easily as they have in the past.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I honestly thought that maybe everything that was going on, Eagles playing well, Phillies possible World Series, and then the Sixers start. And I honestly thought I wasn't going to have much of a real rooting interest. I was jokingly said all right, wake me up at Christmas and then I'll jump on board and I'll see what's going on. But then after what happened with the Phillies and the way that the Sixers are playing, I said this before, the Sixers are really helping me get over this Phillies loss, and I'm really buying into this team a lot earlier into the season than I thought I was going to.
That's a very good point.
It's a real enjoyment to watch this team right now.
It's a very good point you put out there. After that Phillies letdown, it's nice to know that we weren't going to have to sit through bad Sixers and bad Flyers hockey until and just hopefully the Eagles were going to keep us going through February. But guys, I want to remind you that with plenty of Sixers games coming along here, we here at EoP and everybody else around the area go to sherrystickets.com. Sherrystickets.com. The price you see on the screen is the price you pay. There is no hidden fees. You will not get bamboozled at checkout. Sports, concerts, theaters, you name it. No matter where you're at, you don't have to be in the Philadelphia area. Check them out. Sherrystickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946, and save an additional 10% off these great prices using that awesome promo code EOP10. That's right, EOP10 will save you additional 10% off all the amazing prices at sherrystickets.com. Use them often. Go to sherrystickets.com. EOP10, save 10% off. And guys,
son of a bitch.
And guys, don't forget this great lineup here at EOP. Joe's saying son of a bitch because he didn't use Sherry's tickets last time, so that's why he's saying that. But here's a great lineup here at EOP. And tonight, the Sixers After they're done, we will have the post-game show. And after that, the Flyers post-game show will also be coming up. Matty B will be leading the charge this Wednesday night. And then Saturday, Mike. And then Sunday, we'll have Austin giving you all the Flyers coverage that you need as well here at Edge of Philly Sports.
Speaking of the Flyers up 3-1 against the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Very nice.
If they win this, they'll be 8-7-1. Carolina would fall to 9-7. Dude, we're talking AC, boys. Unless they decide to like sell and actually trust the process and really like trade Konechny, all these guys at the deadline, I just don't think they have it in them to be 500 at the trade deadline and trade those guys. We're within playoff contention.
I don't think so either.
I also don't think even at 500 at the trade deadline. I mean, is it in your eyes for the Flyers? And we'll talk a little hockey real quick because I want to touch on some Phillies before we get out of here. But do you guys feel like 500 at the trade deadline for the Flyers right now is a win?
Yeah, I should have said 500. I'm more like within the point scale of making the playoffs.
All right. Well, I'm just saying.
If they're within, if they're within 5-6 points, and the deadline comes up. And, like, we really know this team doesn't have a shot. I just can't see Jonesy and Briere. I don't think they would have expected to be there, and I feel like they'll sit pat maybe. They won't make a dumb move, but they won't sell, which is I think initially the plan was to sell because all these guys – what was the big trade? Konechny was traded in the offseason, but they couldn't get enough first-rounders to do it, a couple other things. And they've played better, so the value should go up.
Yeah, and I wonder, is there value to the team to have a veteran, a guy like Konechny who can play and who's been playing very well, might I add, and let them work with these young guys? Like, is there more value to that unless somebody offers you 5 first-round picks and a really good prospect?
Yeah, I just think the way that things went down last season and Danny Briere, I mean, he for a majority of the season he was the GM. I know Jonesy as president is new, but if they were going to tank, if they were going to, sell off pieces and they didn't do it last year, I mean, what in my right mind would tell me that they're going to do it this year if they're around the 500 mark, around the trade deadline? Like, I just think that they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be competitive, but they also want and know that they have to get younger and better, get more talented on the roster. But I don't think that they're ready to. I don't think they're willing to pull the rug from it and just say, all right, here we are. We are rebuilding. And Danny Briere can say that till he's blue in the teeth. And he kind of in the offseason has alluded to it, that they know that they are in need of a rebuild in some way or another. They just won't do it. They just won't do it for whatever reason. They just will not completely tank, knowing that you can get generational talent.
Yeah. 3 points out of second in the Metro, and if they were in the Atlantic Division, they'd be 3 points out of third. So, fuck off, boys. Well, I mean, I don't think they expected Couturier to come back and play at this level. Konechny again is playing at a high level, and then the young guys, Bobby Brink's been putting on some nice games. They had to send the one guy, and they didn't send him. They sent him down. Elam, he was doing good. I really was hoping he would make the team, but he started to fall off. I just think there is young talent there, but it's to your point, Joe. Young talent that's good or go. But last year was the year. Then I'm arguing with myself.
Yeah.
Last year was the year to do it. Connor Bedard was the guy. There is no Connor Bedard this year. There might be a good player. So, is it even worth tanking? Then at the same time, if Mitchkov ends up being the guy, and then you got Cutter Gauthier that we still need. So maybe, I don't know. It's a question. It certainly is.
Just don't forget that the Flyers do have some money really wrapped up on IR. Ryan Ellis. You forget he's on the team.
Yeah, Ryan Ellis.
You got him, Rasmus Ristolainen. He's an IR. And I'm looking it up right now. Ryan Ellis.
Ryan Ellis. The downfall of Chuck Fletcher is still on this roster. Dude, if Ryan Ellis pans out, because he was a really good player when healthy, then Chuck Fletcher's maybe never gone.
I wonder Ryan. Yeah, I was gonna say I wonder if Ryan Ellis ever plays hockey again. I mean, he's got a back injury. He can't get on the ice. And in Rasmus as well. I mean, he's a guy who has a lower body injury, which I always love. Like, what is that? Is that an ankle, a knee, a groin? Like, what is it? That's all your lower body. So, I mean, they have him out expected to next week, and so I don't know if that if he comes off of that IR at that time, but. It's and then the goalie Sandstrom's out, but he's not a lot of money. But Ristolainen and Ellis, that's the money wrapped up there. So also something to look at to remember about this team going forward. But real quick, guys, let's jump onto some quick Phillies talk here as this game is coming to an end. Joe, you've been posting like feverishly, I should say.
I need it. I look for Phillies updates every day.
Well, good. I'm glad you do because we do need some good Phillies positive news. Aaron Nola declined the qualifying offer. I guess no shock there. I call it the Jason Worth offer. They knew he wasn't going to accept it. They just threw some qualifying offer out there. What are your odds, Joe, in your brain right now that Aaron Nola is going to be back in the Phillies uniform come next year?
I'm becoming more and more optimistic. I mean, he's one of the top free agents, so I don't think it's going to be a very quick signing. They're going to play the game. They're going to see, how many teams are going to outbid the other team. But if he has any interest in coming back to Philadelphia, I mean, first off, the qualifying offer, even though the Phillies know he's going to decline, is so they get a draft pick if and when he signs with another team. But I think that number of $20 million for 1 year, I think that was them kind of like setting just setting the bar low and then seeing what he comes back at. And they're saying reported 7 years, 30 million. So is there, just compromise if he wants to stay in Philadelphia? Is there compromise around 25, 26 million that can get it done? I'm leaning more towards yes, because I mean, I know Blake Snell won the NL Cy Young today. But, I mean, when the Phillies talk about pitching, they talk about inning eaters, and that's not Snell. He doesn't go into the sixth inning, really. Maybe Aaron Nola shouldn't either with some of his woes, in the sixth inning and so. But I think if it comes down to the two of them, I lean Aaron Nola, and I do think there's a chance he comes back. But I'm also intrigued with the Yamamata guy from Japan. Like, let's get some fresh blood in here. I'm open to that as well. And then there's also Josh Hader, who they're rumored around. But I'm getting pretty optimistic about Aaron Nola returning.
Fred?
I'm not paying him $200 million to return. He's a 2 and a 3 at times, and sometimes he's a 1. We see him lights out, and we see him fall off a cliff. He's not worth the money. I would compromise there, maybe at the 25, 24, just because I like him. He's been here, and he is a solid 2-3. I don't know. I kind of lean what you're saying. Yeah, the Japan kid Yamamoto. I mean, that's very intriguing to me. But I would even trade for Corbin Burns. That's who I would trade for him and pay him. He's a 1, and now you got 2 1s as your 1-2 punch with Wheeler. Especially if Wheeler, let's say he falls off next year a bit, and now he's going into a contract year. Now you got Corbin Burns here to solidify that rotation and then make moves from there. So I would entertain the trade idea as well. I'm with you though. Blake Snell, he got 2 Cy Youngs. He doesn't feel right to me. I don't know what that contract would be, but yeah, I don't feel like he would be the right replacement. So
I mean, I think you have to remember with Snell and Nola that they're on the older side, like over the other side of 30, what we call the wrong side of 30, or whatever it is. So 7 years for Nola means what, 38 years old?
You can't do that.
I mean, I just
but
can't
don't good pitchers do that? Like Verlander's still going. I guess Scherzer's starting to fall off a cliff.
I would feel more comfortable giving extended years.
Scherzer sucks.
I would feel
As
more.
I said, he's falling off a cliff.
Yeah, I would feel more.
DeGrom sucks.
I would feel more comfortable giving Wheeler an extension and getting a guy like Corbin, like you said, Fred. I love Aaron. He's homegrown. I would love to keep him around, but agree with you, Fred, in the sense he's a 2, a 3, and he flashes a 1 here and there, but nothing more than that. I can't imagine paying him $200 million in over 7 years. And I really will kind of tie your hands up if you want to go get a guy like Hader. And we saw how not having a closer really hurt us. We felt that hard. So I am, if you have Josh Hader in the bullpen this year, we're probably in the World Series, if not, contending for the win in the World Series.
I think the bigger question is not what one of us think is going to happen, is what do you think the Phillies are going to do? The Phillies and Dombrowski, they say they love him. There is, of course, interest in bringing him back. Do you think that they want him enough to overpay him?
No.
Because I do.
I think Dombrowski's too smart to do that. I just he's blown up teams in the past. In other ways, he's not. He feels no way about keeping Reese. He's letting Reese walk. He says so nice things about Reese too. I just no. I don't think they will. I also don't think they'll bring in Josh Hader either, because I don't think they believe in a closer, single one closer. And Hader,
Sure.
He won't go more than 2 innings. That's crazy to me. Like, there were times they would want to put him in, and he would be like, "Nah, I'm not."
Well, that's why he didn't go up against Bryce Harper. I mean, listen, closers are usually weird dudes. Let's be honest.
You're talking about shit from 2 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, closers are just.
Yeah, but he did it this year too.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the big homer and the NLCS.
I mean, we're the one that started killing it for the Brewers. It was the year. It was the 2021 year, and we went in there and.
No, it was last year, wasn't it?
It was 2 seasons ago.
No,
It was 2 seasons ago. You're talking about when they rocked 2 homers off him, right?
Yeah, it was a day game. And he had like not blown a save at that point. It was bottom of the 9th. It was awesome. What's it called? Boom was one of them.
Yeah. I mean,
now you got me second guessing myself. Maybe it was this year. I really think it was 2 years ago.
No, it definitely wasn't this year. Definitely wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, he went to the Padres in the trade. He was at the Padres this year, but I mean last year and into this year. But my point is he is that kind of weird guy that he can't go 2 innings, can't get up and get back down, and that's why Bryce Harper rocked a home run off of him, or why they rocked a home run off the Padres, not him, because he wouldn't. They were afraid to put him in before the 9th inning. But like I said, Josh Hader on this team makes a difference, though. You just have to have the depth. In my cases, if you're afraid he can't go and close, then put him in the 8th inning and then close it out with somebody else. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of what Topper was doing